All right, so that's going live. Let's go ahead and make sure that everything's going good here. It's live. We're live with that. So if anybody's watching right now, which I don't think anybody is, currently just trying to gather up some news stories real quick here. I think that's it for right now. I don't forget it if you won't forget it tonight. I won't forget it if you won't forget it tonight. Do 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 do. All right, let's go ahead and get things going. Hey, what's going on? It is August 18th, 2016, and you're listening to the Knotty Gamers podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Abbott, the unsexiest comedian that you know, and the man whose face is built for radio. What's up, everybody? Hey, this is, of course, a solo cast, and not the kind of solo cast that I'm sure you're all looking forward to, where I bring on a guest and we kind of have a fireside chat. No, this is a solo cast where I'm by my lonesome. Ooh. Well, Chandler actually couldn't make it tonight. He had a family thing pop up out of nowhere on him. So he's going to be chilling at home with some family while I go ahead and break everything down with you guys. Of course, I'll just make a quick check on this. Okay. Sorry. Had to make a quick double check on that for any audio listeners. That's going to be edited pretty severely here. Anyway, so while we're just going ahead and take a look at that. Wonderful. All right. So just going to go ahead and start things off just by talking about what I've been playing recently. So recently I have been playing No Man's Sky quite a bit. Not as much as I thought I would be this week. I've just been trying to get ready for school. That's something that's happened. Started at ASU, Arizona State University. Been having a good time with that. And I say that even though I just had my classes start today. So I've had a fun time with that. Just had a great time going out to downtown Phoenix, enjoying the campus down there. We'll see how it goes next week. Next week's going to be my first full week. So we'll see how that works out along with school and other things. But while I've been trying to just kind of do that, I've also been finding myself let's talk No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is a game of incredible breadth. Like, there's just so much out there. There's just so much going on. You have just the availability of just what you have optional to you to do is breathtaking. It is really a game that puts the tools in your hand and says, go out and explore the galaxy. Explore everything. Enjoy your time out there. I'm sure it'll be worth it. And it has been so far. I don't know if I'd say that I've gotten $60 worth out of No Man's Sky at this point. I've probably put in about, I want to say 12 to 15 hours. But what I can tell you is that I have had kind of a revelation. After exploring planets, I found myself really kind of obsessed with the idea of starting like an empire. Like, not an empire as in like Empire Strikes Back, like Star Wars Empire, but rather a kind of like business that I wanted to start. And as I was doing it, I realized that I could go get plutonium, bring it back to the station, and I could make a massive profit off of it. And I just kept doing that over and over and over again. And before, I had to actually go to a different system to do it. So I had these two systems. The first two systems I unlocked. One had a planet that was very rich in plutonium that I found very early on. And I decided to name it. Don't know why I still have this on. I don't need it right now. I decided to start on a I found a planet that had a lot of plutonium. Plutonium wasn't really selling very well in this particular station. And I said, well, okay, the planet had a lot of it. So I just brought some back to make some money so I could get something so I could make this warp to this other place. And when I got there, I was kind of astounded because I had plutonium in my inventory that I had forgotten to sell. It was on my ship's inventory. And I saw that, and I actually grabbed it and sold it at this new station and found that I made a pretty substantial profit off of that, which led me to say, hey, I'll just warp back and forth, bringing loads of plutonium, and just make a massive profit that way. I'll upgrade my ship. I currently have a ship that has 22 slots right now, as well as massive amounts of upgrades and other things. It's a big old freighter ship. That is something I will give massive credit for. Ships feel different. Ships fly differently depending on what kind of ship it is. So you can have a much more agile ship than I have, but it'll have less storage. And I have one that has just massive storage. It has like some very powerful weapons on it, but its mobility is very limiting. It's like this long, it's just a beautiful ship. I'm actually a big fan of it. I'm a fan of almost all the starship designs. The starships in this game are unbelievable. Just the amount of, difference that each ship has. Like each ship has a little bit something different. Whether it's this piece here or that piece there, it's just a good mix of different ships that fly in, and they're run by NPCs. And of course, the NPCs are all alien, and they all speak this alien language that you don't speak. I've unlocked like 12 words this entire time because I've only been sticking to these 2 planets really mostly. I'm sorry, the station and this planet over here. So as I'm doing this, I'm shuttling it back, and I realize, hey, I'm being attacked by... I eventually, while I was in space, I started getting attacked by... I saw that there was a ship that had plutonium on it, and I said, I'm going to take that. So I went there, and I was like, I'll just use like my ship to like blow a hole in it. And what I found was that Sentinel ships came after me. So I actually had to land on another planet to kind of hide out for a little while, which I liked. That was a really cool kind of idea that I tried going into battle, and I tried picking on somebody who was just these stationary ships that are always there. That's a huge complaint of mine, that they're just there. And I had to run away, which was cool. I had fun doing it. I almost died. But what ended up happening is I landed on this planet that was in the system that had the station that I sold the plutonium on. And while I was there, I realized, hey, there's a lot of plutonium here. And as I went further through, I realized, it doesn't have as much plutonium as this other planet does, but I also don't have to warp, which means I don't have to use warp drives, or I don't have to use my warp drives with the warp cells to do it. I don't have to expend warp cells on my warp drive to warp between these 2 planets. I've made tons of warp cells. So what ended up happening is I was making 30,000 units a transfer, and I kept on having to buy the necessary components to make the warp cells in order to do the warping. And I'd go back and forth on it because I wanted to save my storage space for plutonium. Really cool thing happened, though, is that because I found this planet, I only had to take these shuttle back and forth just in the same system. So I started doing that, and I ran into a problem. There are pirates orbiting that planet. So I have to, every time I make this run, I have to make this run with the threat of these pirates just ready to attack me, ready to annihilate me. And it's fun. There's something really fun about it. There's just something fun about that. I had fun with that for a while, and then I finally realized something. I was trying to make this game something it isn't. This game is not a space mining game. This game isn't create a business game. This game isn't, I'm going to do that. You can do that all in your mind. If you want to, you can use your imagination to imagine that's what you're doing. That's what you're there for. But at the end of the day, the game doesn't reward you for that. That's not the purpose of the game. So as some of you might imagine, I came upon that realization probably within the 12 to 15 hours that I've been putting into it, and just kind of realized that I don't know if I'm going to keep playing this game. I need something. I need something more out of it, and I'm just not getting it out of this. And I think that's the problem, is that as big, as humongous as this world is, and I've made this complaint about another game that had a massive world that, according to some, made it a great game, which was Dragon Age Inquisition. And I said it's a shallow game. Inquisition's a shallow game. As much as people want to try to give it praise, at the end of the day, it's just too shallow. If there's one thing I would say about Dragon Age 2, it's that it was short and there was some depth, but where it needed more depth was in the world around it. And with Inquisition, you got more of the world, but it didn't have depth to it. Additionally, the characters came off as being some of them came off as being one-note characters. The LOL isn't this crazy elf character who just boggled my mind using her made-up speech. I was just like, am I supposed to find this endearing? I don't. So stop. Whether it's Iron Bull, like Iron Bull actually has some interesting stuff, but outside of his, what ended up being his character quest, he likes sex. Oh, fighting. Oh, but he's also like a secret agent, even though he tells you from the outset. Of course, there is the Warden character, who I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but that actually threw me for a loop. That was a deep character. Although I say that's a deep character, it's not a deep character. They don't let you go deep into the character. There's just that twist of the knife. And because I used that character a lot, Blackwall was his name, Blackwall. Because I used Blackwall a lot, I felt betrayed. But the more I thought about it, it's like, did he really betray me? Anyway, back onto the point is that there's this breadth of world. There's this massive world, but it's also shallow. It is what you make of it. If you see this massive world that has so much to do in it, even though those things are repetitive, so there's a few things to do, but you can do it in so many places. Is that the appeal? Is that what it is for you? Because I'm reaching a point where I can't break it anymore. I couldn't make it, and now I'm thinking about breaking it. And I'm sure some of you will say, well, just go outside of your system, start doing other things. But that doesn't entice me. What is drawing me out there? I'm not curious enough to see what's out there. I want something that isn't available. I want a game that does more than this. And it sucks because No Man's Sky is a good game. I think it's a better game than a lot of people are giving it credit for. I think it's just short of being a great game. I think it has great systems. I think it has a great universe. The problem is that it's an empty universe. My problem is that instead of embracing that emptiness, instead of embracing the loneliness about it, something about Minecraft that Minecraft did very well for me at its early stage, and I came on very early on Minecraft originally, long before many updates, and I quit Minecraft because it was becoming way too engrossing in my life. I spent a month of my life doing nothing but working, waking up in the morning, playing Minecraft, or waking up in the morning, going to work, coming home, eating, play Minecraft until I went to bed. Usually maybe 3 or 4 hours before I had to go to work, I would catch basically a nap and then get up, shower, go to work, and just rinse and repeat. And I did that for about a month. And then I realized this game has ruined my social life. I have friends that I need to spend time with. So I pulled myself away. Had I pursued that path, I'd probably be, a Minecraft guy who live streams, does all sorts of stuff. But probably not, because I didn't have a rig to do it. But who's to say? At the end of the day, Minecraft for me was this. I embraced the loneliness of Minecraft. I embraced this idea that it was me against the world, and I had to fight for my survival. Everything in that world wanted to kill me or didn't care whether I lived or died. So everything for me in Minecraft was about survival, was about killing everything else that was coming after me. At night, I knew that they were coming after me. So the first, I had this massive thing built, and I just did that. And it was just me against the world until I discovered online servers and played through those. I had a great time doing that. But at the end of the day, nothing ever matched that us against the world mentality that Minecraft gave me when I first started playing it. The problem that I'm getting with No Man's Sky and why it hasn't hooked me in like that is because it's not me against the world. It's me alone in the universe, but there's plenty of other people here. Oh, I met some pirates, but the pirates I don't understand, or the pirates are just coming after me. I'm going to run away from them. I have no incentive to destroy them. I can run away from them. And if I can't run away from them, then, oh no, I just have to go in and pick up my remains, minus whatever they took. Which they never seemed, I never recognized whether or not they took anything. So I couldn't tell you, but I mean, is it a good game? Yes, undoubtedly. It is a very good game with great systems, great mechanics, and amazing, and I'm sure as people go further and further in, they're going to discover more and more about the world. This is very much a Minecraft situation. Minecraft version, beta, when I started, it was just a beta. They hadn't even fully released it. You could pay $5 to get, or $1 to get access to the beta. Mojang was doing that at the time. It was just Notch and I think maybe 1 or 2 other people at the time. Very early on, when I said I was like OG Minecraft, I didn't mean, yeah, I'm OG, like I was playing on this like X update. No, I was just playing the beta. I don't know what update it was within the beta. I was just playing the beta. And then the full release came out and, you know, I let that go. That was played by other people, but it's a game enjoyed by millions upon millions of people on multiple platforms. My niece loves Minecraft. She plays it on her friend's Xbox. I don't know if she still does. I actually don't think so, but she did for a while, and I loved that. I loved hearing her tell me about Minecraft. This is a game that I don't think is going to ever be for me because it doesn't give me enough to keep me going. But I do see this being a game that is for a specific set of people who want to explore this universe, that just want to explore, because that's all there is to it. And my only advice when playing this game is just don't get bogged down by the details. Keep going. Keep pursuing your path. Keep doing, if that's what you feel you need to do, just explore every planet, find every little nook and cranny, that's great, but that is just not going to be it for me. I need purpose. I need drive. Because if you don't give me that and I can't find it, you know, I found drive for a while in getting in this idea that I was like, I'm going to have just so much money because plutonium and like my plutonium scheme, I'm going to get a bunch of money. But at the end of the day, what does that buy me? Just more ships, just bigger ships. Is that it for me? And I just had to come to the realization that I didn't want that. So I had to I'm walking away from it at this point. If I go back into it, I'll let you guys know. But as far as right now goes, I'm done with No Man's Sky. I'm putting it down. However, I will say it was not money ill spent. I think I spent too much money on this for how much money I spent on it. But of course, I didn't pay the full $60 for it. I got it through a friend for $40. Many of you who listened to last week's Alistair Manor know the player Pater, who plays Kushala on that show, actually gave me his copy of No Man's Sky that he got for $40 from Best Buy. And he did that because it was sealed and everything, of course, because he thought he wasn't going to get his Amazon copy in time, and he really wanted to play it. So, yeah, that's what I've been playing. I left that early this week, though. After that, I've tried playing a little bit of Overwatch, but it's just not hooking me the way I want it to right now. I need something to drive me forward. And I started watching YouTube videos, and I stumbled upon a YouTube channel. This guy, my name is Beef, or Bife. My name is Bife. He does lore videos for Destiny, and that got me, you know, my interest peaked. Of course, this Rise of Iron stuff that's coming out has got me salivating. I'm back in Destiny. I started playing Destiny a little bit. I'm ready to keep on playing some more Destiny. Rise of Iron is going on right now. I've been playing a little bit of that. I didn't last night, but I did the night before. So I had a great time doing it. I think it's I love Destiny. I'm not as good as I used to be, but I'm kind of relearning everything I need to. I don't know what's going to happen with me in Destiny. Rise of Iron comes out, I'm going to play it. But at what point do I drop it? I'm not sure. All I know is, and all I can say at this point is that that's it for No Man's Sky. I'm on to Destiny a little bit more. I've been playing a little bit of Overwatch, but probably the biggest thing that I've been doing is I pre-ordered South Park, The Fractured Butthole. I've been playing South Park, The Stick of Truth on the PS4. Something I noticed is that when you run in that game, the frames per second on your feet don't catch up, so it's a little jarring. Like the world, like you're moving through the world, or maybe your feet are moving, like your character's moving fast enough, but of course, it's a static world behind you that you can kind of interact with, and it changes to a different model. So maybe that's it, is that it's a static world, it's not moving with you, and so you move really kind of jankily because you're running through. Walking, you look fine, I guess. I don't know. But I'm enjoying it. I've been enjoying playing through it a little bit. Playing through it again. I want to platinum it. Botched up because there's one trophy where you find Jesus in a quest, where you literally find Jesus who lives in South Park. If you don't watch South Park, don't worry about it. You don't need to know. Jesus lives there. He's just chilling. Nothing wrong with that. He's just Jesus. He's just doing the Jesus-y things, telling people he loves them. And yeah. But you find Jesus in a game of hide and seek. Little tongue-in-cheek there, but you do it, and if you find him as a Jew, you get a trophy that's called "So We're Cool," right? A little sacrilegious for some people's taste, but that's just a trophy in the game, and I botched it because I went with Warrior this time. When I first played the game, I played as a rogue class, so I had a great time doing that. On a second PC playthrough, I actually had been playing as the Jew character class, and didn't finish it there. I moved on to other things because other things came out. But I botched up this time because I could have gotten that through one playthrough then. I'm not too worried about it because that quest is early on, so I can start a new game, pick the Jew character class, and then find Jesus pretty early on in the game. So I'll be able to platinum it that way. Still, I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Big fan of Stick of Truth. It was definitely my game of the year. 2014 is when it came out. Yeah, because that's when Inquisition came out as well. And everybody was just like jerking off to Inquisition. And I'm just like, I hate to break it to you, but South Park Stick of Truth is the best RPG that came out in 2014. Period. Just the best RPG that came out, period, that year. Nothing better. Just isn't. There wasn't anything better. Yeah, because Witcher got 2015 Game of the Year for a lot of people. I'm trying to remember the dates and getting those nailed down. But I think I'm right. It is that. So we're good. Yeah, moving on to what else I've been playing. Not much else. Been watching a lot of documentaries. Watching wrestling, as usual. You guys don't want to hear about that, though. There's plenty of other people who know way more about wrestling, who have followed wrestling their entire life, not just stopping and then missing wrestling for 15 years of their life before hopping back into it like I did. So go watch those people on YouTube. Don't bother watching this. Or watch me and hear me not talk about wrestling now. Moving on from that to just kind of, so that's it for Cameron's Corner. Normally we don't do corners, but I did want to let you guys know what I've been playing, just because I have these impressions about No Man's Sky that I wanted to share. Moving on to what's next up on our docket here. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Overwatch. So Overwatch has finished its Season 1. Season 1 of competitive mode is over. You can claim your prizes. I'm going to be claiming mine later this afternoon or later this evening. Just kind of picking up those. Big fan of competitive mode. It was a lot of fun. Competitive mode is gone now, which is interesting because I can't wait for the new competitive mode. But they're also bringing a lot of changes coming into it. They are moving from a 1 to 100 tier system to a 1 to 5,000 tier system, and the tiers are now being broken up into chunks starting in bronze, silver, gold, diamond, master, and then grandmaster. Those are the tiers that they have for it, and they look pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for it. They're doing away with this sudden death round. They're done with those. It's great in my opinion, just about what they're doing with that. Now they're just going to make it draws, and you still get points for draws, but you get 10 points for victory, and then like 3 or 4 points for a draw, and then no points for losing, of course. Man, I've just been having a fun time with Overwatch. Outside of that, they've also been doing their summer games thing. There's a lot of problems with the summer games loot boxes that they've been doing. There's a serious problem with their in-game economy right now, where they have these gold coins that there are people who have been getting these gold coins from the summer loot boxes, because the summer loot boxes are just the new loot boxes. But the problem is that for people who already own or have already bought all the loot boxes to get everything, I'm not one of them. I'm certainly not Mr. Moneybucks on this situation. However, for everybody who's unlocked them or was close to unlocking them and has unlocked them now, they're getting superfluous gold that is just piling up as they're getting loot boxes. And on top of that, I mean, here's the thing. If you just wanted to have the summer loot boxes contain only the summer stuff, great. Maybe you get 2 loot boxes when you level up now. That'd be awesome. Maybe you only get loot boxes when you win a game. Or if you only get summer loot boxes when you level up and you've won the game. I don't know. There's plenty of things you could have done, but this just felt like a blatant cash grab, especially since items that can only be found in the summer loot box are restricted to only opening the loot box. So you can't use any of your gold that you've accrued in these summer loot boxes to buy them. Not the smartest idea. But I mean, it just, maybe it was because people bought them to get those skins. But it felt like such a massive just cash grab. Now, I'm used to it. I played TF2. I brought this up many times. I am used to the blatant cash grab. I cannot emphasize enough how dumb it was, how you just got these piles upon piles of chests that you couldn't open because you had to buy the keys. And it was stupid, and I hated it. I wasn't going to buy the keys for it. That was ridiculous. Anyway, I just ended up with a bunch of chests, like a bunch of boxes, basically. Loot boxes for TF2. And just never opened them because I'm not paying you 99 cents for a key. Fuck off. But, you know, I'm used to that. I wasn't surprised when they did that. But apparently some people are. They're complaining about it. Whatever. Of course, you guys can always throw questions in the side here. Just if you want to shoot me a question, I'll answer it for you. So far, we have 0 viewers, as we have had 0 viewers so far. I'm not surprised. I threw this out kind of impromptu. There's really no preparation, so people didn't know what was going on with it. Let me see here with this. What's going on? Oh, somebody wants me to send them the link to this. I will do so. Sorry, pausing this real quick. Gonna pop this up and go over to my Twitter. Link for this thing again. Oh, I better stop singing that. I might get a copyright strike. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm not that good. All right. Did that. He sent that 27 minutes ago. He could have been here the entire time. Could have been notifications because I think I got. Nope, nothing here. Moving on. I gotta make sure these posted. I used Hootsuite for it, but I gotta make sure that they actually got out there. Of course, nobody's gonna be watching this. Boogie is about to live stream in like 2 minutes. Nobody's watching this, so I'm not worried about losing viewers. But I mean, Boogie's about to podcast. I follow Boogie on Twitter, but I don't follow that guy enough. I don't follow his stuff. He's just a nice guy, and I think he's cool. I follow a lot of people like that on Twitter. I don't know why. Let me see here. Check out my stuff. Make sure that... nope, I solo casted it. I put that out there. I put it out there. People just aren't coming. C'est la vie. Hopefully, though, people take it up on it and watch it. Otherwise, you can always watch this on demand as you'd like. For all you listeners out there, of course, you guys have just been following us on SoundCloud, and I can't thank you enough about this. I should probably mention, bensound.com or bensounds.com does supply us with our intro and outro of the Knotty Gamers podcast. If you want free music to sample and use, go to bensounds.com. Anyway, there you go. That's my disclaimer out there. So that way I can use the intro and outro of this episode. Let's see here. So moving on to, so that's it for Overwatch, basically. Not everything, sorry. Let me back up a bit. So if any of you don't know, that was a rewind sound, even though it sounded nothing like anything that would ever rewind, except anybody's possible interest in me as a romantic partner. So that's 2 parts funny. 1, because that's just a funny joke, and 2, because who would ever thought of me as a romantic partner? I killed myself with my humor. Moving on, though, to next piece of Overwatch news, which is the Last Bastion short just got put out. The Last Bastion, of course, is referring to the short that is starring everybody's least favorite Overwatch character, so they say, unless you play Bastion, And then oh, have you tried countering to Bastion? Because he can be countered, because I know, because I get killed by his counters all the time when I play Bastion. Oh, you don't. You just want to play, your character that you want to play. And you just hate Bastions because they make you change to something else. But Last Bastion is a really cool short. It basically details what happened to Bastion. He just kind of woke up because a bird was building a nest on his shoulder, and it's his journey to finish his protocols. But it just leads to this entire really cool journey of self-discovery for Bastion, and really the development of his AI. So it's really cool. I definitely recommend watching it, like all of the Overwatch shorts. Even if you're not interested in Overwatch, they just are some very beautiful storytelling, and this is definitely up there, top tier beautiful storytelling. There is zero dialogue. It's fantastic. Moving on to the next piece of news, Pokemon Go is apparently facing a class action lawsuit because people don't want people climbing over their property. I don't know how this can be a class action lawsuit. I don't think there's a law, or I guess they're suing them for like telling people to go on their property to go catch invisible monsters. Hell if I know. I'm not part of it. So that's it. That's just happening. Let me see here. Oh, sorry. Rewind a bit. Last bit of Overwatch news. Apparently Blizzard has replaced GGEZ on PC Overwatch games with this with a little mini patch that basically replaces it with embarrassing phrases. You can, of course, check out some videos that people have posted about it online. They're pretty funny. Moving on to Dark Souls news. Listen up, Allie. Put your ears out there. She's probably already heard. She probably felt it, in her heart. But Dark Souls 3 DLC announcement is coming on August 24th. There's going to be the first of the the two DLC expansions that's coming out for Dim Dark Souls 3. I'm pretty excited. I played through Dark Souls 3 on the PC. Dark Souls is a very personal thing to me. I don't live stream it. I don't like to Let's Play it. I don't like to do anything because I'm so focused in the moment. I'm going to be super boring to play or to watch play. And to play. I'm very boring as just a person who plays. Which is why I decided to try to become a gaming personality. Which I'm failing at right now. Going forward, though, thank you, of course, anybody who's listening. You guys are the real heroes of the Knotty Gamers podcast because you keep us going. But yeah, DLC for Dark Souls 3 is coming out. I'm pretty pumped. I want to see what's out there. I want to fight more bosses. I want to do more. I had a great time with the game, and I would love to revisit it when DLC comes out, which apparently is being announced on the 24th of August. So mark it on your calendars. If you love Dark Souls, if you hate Dark Souls, be prepared for everybody to not shut up about it again, because we will not shut up about it. So next up is Kingsglaive, Final Fantasy 15. This is the first part of the Final Fantasy 15 news. However, this is what's really cool is that they came out with a movie. They have Sean Bean voicing the king. They have Jesse from Breaking Bad. He is going to be the main character. He's voicing the main character. It was announced at the September reveal event, the September release date reveal event that Sony put on. That we'll be talking about that delay in a bit. But essentially, it's been put out. Some people have been reviewing it. I've only seen one review from IGN on it, and they said it's okay. 6.9, 6.9, almost a 7. So if you're a fan of the series, you'll probably really enjoy it. And if you're not a fan of the genre, avoid it. That's basically what that means. Everybody kind of looks at those kind of reviews and says, "What?" Because you're thinking too much grade school. You're thinking too much as a grade in a school. A 6.9, especially on our scale, that's a 3 out of 5 or a 3.5 out of 5. That's a good game. That's a really good game. And if you're a fan of that series, you'll love this game. If you're a fan of this product, you're a fan of this movie, you're a fan of anything, and it gets like that 3-star or above, it's great. Now, if it's below a 4-star, that means it's great for you as a fan of this. That's where it really kind of cuts off. So when people give a review a 6 out of 10, a 6.9, whatever, don't think, oh, it's a fail. No, a fail is like when you hit those low tiers, because when you're talking about a review score, it's not the same as a grade score, unless you're doing the A, B, C, D, E, F, or E, not E, A, B, C, D, F. If somebody says it's an F, that means they're really scoring it low, like 1s or 2s, or an R scale, just that 1. If it gets to a 2, it means if you're really a fan of this genre or this series, you might enjoy this. Give it a shot. But if you're not, or you think that you might not enjoy it, then avoid it. That's all this means. So if you are a fan of this, look it up. If you thought this looked really cool, watch it. If you saw the clips and you're like, man, this really looks like something that, like, it's biting me, like it's really got its hook in me, go for it. Watch it. It means it's going to be good for you. But for the general audience who doesn't understand these little niche things, it is not going to be the greatest time in the world for them, which is what you want them to give them a higher score on. It's not going to happen. However, I doubt that this is just not going to be a success. I believe it will be a success. And they'll probably, I don't think they'll make more of it, but it's something going on. Moving on to next piece of news is The Tick. I'm only bringing this up. I pulled this up on our docket because Chandler and I are both big fans of The Tick. Chandler more so than I, but The Tick is something we both love. They came out with a reboot of the live-action series that goes a little bit grittier and darker. I haven't watched it yet. It's on Amazon Prime. I have Amazon Prime. This might be the one show that I watch on Amazon Prime. We'll see. Moving on from that to Grow Up. So Grow Up is a sequel to another game that came out called Grow Home. You grow a home. This is you growing up, I guess. I don't know. But Grow Home came out as part of a PS Plus earlier in the year. I had a friend, Scott, who picked it up. He loved it. He thought it was great. I haven't played it myself. Probably won't. But Grow Up has been put out, and it seems to be getting some pretty good reviews from what I'm saying here. Just some pretty good stuff is going on. People are saying good things about it. So if you're a fan of the series, if you were a fan of the first one, pick up the sequel. Next up is this is a bit for comic nerds. Anybody who has been following comics probably has seen at least images or pictures out of a comic called Invincible. Invincible has been a massive, awesome comic series for a while. It stars starts off from when this kid's a senior in high school, finally gets his superpowers, and his dad is the world's greatest superhero. His dad is basically Superman. And this is the son of Superman who's just like, I'm gonna fight crime with my dad. And then it just goes off from there. And it just is fantastic. It takes you through turns that you didn't know were coming really early on to make it interesting, and just keeps going with that. It's so much fun. It's a great series. I stopped reading it a while ago. I think it's because it went on hiatus, or it came back from hiatus. I read an issue, and then I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I never kept going with it. I'm really interested to go back and actually read the entire thing now because it's coming to an end. Robert Kirkman announced that the comic series is ending, and that's it. So, it's kind of sad to see it go, but it's been a great run. I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about Invincible, especially if you're a comic book fan. So if you're a fan of Invincible, I'm sure you already know. If you were thinking about picking it up, at least you know it comes to an end. It's not going to go on forever. Next up is South Park, the Fractured But Whole. They came out with, Ubisoft is doing this marketing gimmick because to call it anything that people would actually buy or use is not going to, nobody would ever do that. It's a marketing ploy. It's called the, I just set it up. Essentially, it's a smeller for games. You smell farts in South Park, the Fractured But Whole, a game centered around epic farts that your character makes. Is it funny? Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. If you watch the videos of people playing it, it works too. If you're at a Gamescom right now, or you were thinking about going to Gamescom because you're German and you're listening to this, or you're, I shouldn't say that like that, being dismissive of this, because I do know that we have some Eastern European listeners. If you guys have the ability to go to Gamescom, or you had the ability to go to Gamescom, you took advantage of it, and now you're there, or you're on your way there for the rest of the event, go check out the Ubisoft booth. The Ubisoft people are having the Fractured But Whole there. Play the Smell-O-Vision. I don't think that's what it's called, but hell, go with it. It's smell VR. You can smell the VR now. Moving on next to probably what is going to be the last thing I talk about. And it's basically a giant just like bitching right now. This is one of the reasons why I'm glad I didn't buy Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Because you're giving money to a company that you know that the man who made this product has left. And he left it on terrible terms. And they've done everything they could to screw him. I didn't buy the game. I didn't play through the game. To me, I tried like looking at getting into Ground Zeroes. I wasn't interested. I felt such a disconnect with Snake. And a big part of that was Kiefer Sutherland's voice coming into it. I'm a David Hayter guy. I think David Hayter's the best Snake voice you're ever going to have. And Kiefer Sutherland can kiss my ass when it comes to that. Love you for 24, Kiefer. You're awesome in 24. But I didn't need old Snake turning into, or Big Boss turning into, Jack Bauer. But people call him Big Boss. I don't need that. I didn't need that before. I don't need it now. David Hayter still got it. He doesn't need to. I just was super upset about that and the way they told David Hayter about it, because they basically weren't telling him at all. He found out through other people that they were doing the voice work for Metal Gear Solid 5. So he called up the person he knows that's part of the project. The person took him out to lunch and said, yeah, they went with Kiefer Sutherland. And he's like, well, what am I going to do? It's Kiefer freaking Sutherland. So Kojima did directing. He directed that. He made that creative decision, and he made that go with it. Anybody who knows anything about Hideo Kojima is that he's a cinephile. So the idea of getting an actual, person who's been in films and TV to be the voice of his protagonist is going to be huge for him. And I get that. But that's why I didn't pick up Ground Zeroes right away. And by the time Ground Zeroes piqued my interest, I listened to the, what's his name? Their Nerdist on, I used to go there all the time. It's an Australia-based website. You guys know it. But essentially, not the Nerdist. My apologies. The Nerdist is Chris Hardwick's massive entertainment conglomerate centered around nerd culture. My apologies. I'm not an idiot. It is zero punctuation on The Escapist. The Escapist had zero punctuation. I watched his review of it, and from what he described, how short it was, how it felt kind of discombobulated, like they cut off a part of what was going to be the actual game and gave it to us now early. I was like, you know what, I'll wait till the full thing comes out so I can get the full picture. But by the time Metal Gear Solid 5 came around, I didn't have money for it. So I said, I have Ground Zeroes for free because of PlayStation Plus. I'll try playing it through there, but I never got around to it. So I never picked up Phantom Pain, because why would I pick that up if I haven't played Ground Zeroes? And a lot of people are like, well, you can still do it. I'm not worried about that. Then I had friends spoil the twist at the end for me. And to be honest, I wasn't upset about that. And I actually thought to myself, it's kind of fitting. It's okay. I'm okay with it. I thought it would have been a really cool thing, especially to do to the fans, to have Big Boss's or Ishmael's voice be... And I'm sorry, I'm spoiled that a little bit for you, but have that voice be actually David Hayter's voice. So people are like, oh, David Hayter's doing that. That's cool. And then for have that big reveal, that would have been really cool. Doesn't matter, though. Doesn't matter. Although it does clear up kind of like, how did Snake not know that he'd killed Big Boss at the end of Metal Gear Solid 1? Only to find out at the end of Metal Gear 1, and then in Metal Gear 2, fighting the actual Big Boss. Like, how did that happen? And then they solved it pretty easily. Pretty actually really cool way of solving it, too. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. Moving on to the next bit. So moving on to what I was actually wanting to talk about is something that actually has me grinding my gears right now. Because of everybody who backed Kojima, I'm now seeing all these people on Twitter. Most people are on, like, I see this as a shill crap game. But so I'm seeing some people, especially on like Facebook and everything, kind of say about Metal Gear Survive. Metal Gear Survive is the first Konami-issued non-Metal Gear game since Metal Gear Snake's Revenge that came out only in America and wasn't actually Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear 2. Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge or whatever is an American-made game that Konami published on the NES for America and is not a good game because it turns the stealth action game of Metal Gear on the original Nintendo, the NES, and turns it into a shooter similar to kind of like a Contra clone a little bit in some ways, but not nearly as good as Contra. Just this shooter game that it became, and it was just bad. Very bad. Not a very good game. Metal Gear 2, however, released in Japan, and then later released in America, I believe, at some point. Phenomenal game. Great game. It continues on. It tells the story of the end of Big Boss and of Zanzibar. And this epic confrontation where you also had to take on your best friend in Gray Fox. Anyway, good stuff. And, so here's the thing. Metal Gear Survive looks like trash. It doesn't look like a Metal Gear game. They slapped Metal Gear on this game, and it doesn't look like it's like a Metal Gear game at all. Unless all these zombies that you basically made are Metal Gear somehow. I don't get it. It didn't look like a Metal Gear Solid game or a Metal Gear game. It didn't feel like a Metal Gear game. Metal Gear is not a zombie survival game. And this is really frustrating because, I'm a huge fan of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. I had a blast with the game. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought Metal Gear Rising Revengeance was a better Devil May Cry game than the DMC reboot they did. Because it was. Because that was trash. Moving on to this point. It doesn't look like a Metal Gear game. It doesn't feel like a Metal Gear game. IGN did this thing. I only really follow IGN on social media because my buddy... Anyway, because I have a friend who does... let me put it this way. I have a friend who I love very dearly who told me to watch an IGN video, shared it on a Facebook group that we're a part of, and it's basically ripped from, I think it's Alien 3? Alien 3 had like the little kid, I think. Might be... Yeah, it's Alien 3, I believe. Oh, lost you there for a second. Looks like the connection was lost there for a second. It's okay, though. For audio listeners, the YouTube live show that nobody's watching just went out. But I'm going to keep it up just because I'm in the moment here. So basically it intersplices where it says basically like what happens when a Metal Gear comes out that isn't the Metal Gear that we all know. Very much just like this interspliced Ripley freaking out, everybody freaking out because they don't understand what they're seeing. It's a great clip. Definitely check it out if you're inclined to. If not, don't worry about it. What I will say, however, is that Metal Gear Survive looks like garbage. It does not look like a Metal Gear game. Konami is pushing out this game to make money on the Metal Gear name. There's no... Ever since Metal Gear Solid 2, for me, Metal Gear games have been a very excellent piece of art that you get. It's complex. It's complicated. Some things don't make sense, but that's okay because it's art. It's supposed to make you feel something. If you feel something when you play a video game, that's art. That is what the principle of art is to make you feel something. When you look at a painting and it makes you feel something, you know that there's something special that you're witnessing. That's art. When a film makes you feel something, that is art. That is why art can be critiqued. It's why art can be reviewed. It's why art can be kind of put under this idea of an umbrella of protection from government infringement. Say whatever you want about Justice Scalia, how you feel about his political leanings or whatever, but he wrote the judgment decision of the majority declaring video game art. That's just what happened. He wrote it. He said, this is no different to me than film or television or music or anything else, really. This is an art form. That's it. Anybody who says, well, Roger Ebert didn't say that. He said that video games aren't art. Well, Roger Ebert isn't a Supreme Court justice. Roger Ebert also died. Also, he was a film critic. If Roger Ebert saw a painting in a museum or an art gallery and said, this isn't art, nice try, I don't care. You're not an expert in this field. Now, if he tells me this movie is bad, I was inclined to listen to him. When he said Tommy Wiseau's The Room is a terrible piece of trash that is a burning garbage pit of awfulness, he was right, because that was his field of depth. Metal Gear is art. Metal Gear Solid 1, really great game, really kind of leaned into a little bit more onto the cinematic feel of things. And Kojima really embraced that feeling in Metal Gear Solid 2. I felt I was taken on a very cool experience with Metal Gear Solid 2. I felt something. It was art. Metal Gear Solid 3, my gosh, Metal Gear Solid 3 is, funny enough, my favorite Metal Gear game. A lot of people don't agree with me. I don't care. I love Metal Gear Solid 3 because it felt like it felt more like a film. But I also loved just the survival aspect of it. I loved that I felt, and this is me talking about embracing loneliness like I did earlier. I embraced that I was on my own. I embraced that I was not in a military base that I'd snuck into. Because it was technically a military base, but you were actually sneaking not on, like through the base, you were sneaking to the base. Because the base was just a building. This wasn't some super futuristic, high-tech, massive base. It was just some buildings that were separated by other buildings, like with other buildings over here. And they had some forest and everything in between, because this is the forests of Russia. And it was amazing, because you basically had to just make your way through that. Oh, there's just, when they have you go first person, so everybody knows Big Boss loses an eye. He loses an eye in Metal Gear Solid 3. When they have you, when everything happens with it and you see it first person for the first time, it was just like, And of course, looking at it now, it's probably goofy because graphics have changed so much, but those were the best graphics we had on the PS2 at the time. And it was breathtaking. A phenomenal game. Metal Gear Solid 4, people were like, it just feels like there's just, you play through a part and then you get like a 10-minute cutscene. It's like, well, what do you expect? He gets he gets free rule here. Kojima's Kojima. That's a piece of art, because it taught, oh my gosh, that last fight where you're fighting Ocelot, pretending to be Liquid Snake, and it's this fight, and it's basically these two old men, these two old warriors, these two old fighters just finally coming to the end of everything for themselves. And whoever wins this fight doesn't really matter, because the plan's fallen apart. Like, technically the good guys have already won by the time you have this last boss fight. But it doesn't matter, because these are two men who are fighting for ideals. And they're fighting to end one side or the other and just put an end to all of this. And Snake has a very proper goodbye in that to us as fans. Like, Snake shows up at the cemetery, that whole scene happens, whatever. That's not the point, though, is that last moment where you're just in one last fight with your friend or your idol or this person that you've observed, it makes you feel something. You feel something in Metal Gear Solid 4 at the end of that boss fight, which makes it special. That is art. I looked at this trailer for Metal Gear Survive. I found none of that. I found that there were going to be 4 different playable characters that you can play, and they each have their own unique weapon, and they get to show them off a little bit in the game. But give me a break. What about that is compelling? It's just a horde mode that you've slapped Metal Gear onto. Give me a break. Anybody who buys this who was complaining massively about Konami, mistreating Kojima, mistreating their entire staff, and just chilling out their legacy like this, and they buy this game, you are a hypocrite. You are a hypocrite. I will not buy this game. I don't care if it's good or not. I'm not buying it because that would be, it'd be ethically wrong. I'd be ethically bankrupt if I told you that Konami is full of garbage and that they are terrible people for doing what they're doing to their talented staff and to their amazing up over the course of my entire lifetime. They are wasting them. And it is terrible what they're doing with this. But at the end of the day, it's theirs to do with because that's how that works. It just is. They own the rights to these IPs. And they're using it and they're slapping it on to this game, knowing people will buy it. And so for anybody listening, for anybody watching, which is nobody, but for anybody listening out there, if this game comes out and you have one iota of contempt or just upset anger or anything like that with Konami over anything they've done, by buying this game, I'm not saying you're endorsing it, but I'm saying you're ignoring the obvious. Konami will never listen to you until you vote with your wallet, until you talk to them with your wallet, because that's the only language they speak. The only language any of them speak is with their wallet, or rather with your wallet. If you say, I'm not going to buy your game, and they're like, well, why aren't people buying this game? It has Metal Gear on it. Is it because Kojima's not on it? Because that doesn't make any sense to us. That's why we were terrible to him. It's because you're terrible that we're not going to buy your game. Whether or not your game's terrible, because you're a terrible company, we won't buy your game. I'm not saying boycott Konami, although I am. I am boycotting Konami hard. And I'm supporting people who have left Konami. I'm supporting anything Kojima wants to do. I will pick that up because I will say this is from an artist and I'm about to experience that. Whether or not I like it or not, whether or not it's good or not, has no bearing whatsoever on this game, this Metal Gear Survive game. I'm going to buy Igarashi's Bloodstained. I'm going to buy it, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it. I have a piece that I wrote a while ago about Kickstarter video games and whether or not Mighty Number 9 is this the final nail in the coffin for it? But I'll go into that later when I play Bloodstained, because really what I realized is Bloodstained is going to be the make or break it for me on my opinions on Kickstarter and Kickstarter video games. Moving on, though, to this particular topic, I'm going to buy Igarashi's game when it comes out. I'm going to play it. I'm going to tell you about it. I'm going to support people who have left these oppressive companies to go pursue this art. And I hope that you do too. Because I think we could all have these very great discussions about these games. Because that's what you can do with art. You can discuss it and talk about how it makes you feel. Whether or not you even liked how you felt about it. Whether or not you felt, well, I don't really like this. Good. It made you feel something, though. It made you feel distaste. It made you feel dissatisfaction. Explore that feeling. A bad game's only a bad game if you can't feel anything about it. Or it's just broken. I shouldn't say it only. There's plenty of ways you can have a bad game. But when it's an actual bad game, is when the game works perfectly fine. No broken gameplay, no broken anything. It's just there's just something about it that is just bad. Whether it is Custer's Revenge on the Atari, which was bad because a multitude of reasons, but it was basically a game based on the rape of Native Americans by a cowboy figure made out of pixels. It was awful. It was a bad game. Was there any flaws in the way they programmed it? I don't know. I haven't played it, but from what I understand, that's not the case. Is it a bad game because it's culturally insensitive? Yeah. Is it a bad game because it's sexist and misogynist and awful because you're raping people in it? Yes. That's exactly right. That is why it's bad. That's why it's a bad game. And I feel like Metal Gear Survive is going to be a bad game because it's being put out by a company and published by a company that is bad. We can make jokes about them making pachinko machines, but at the end of the day, their practices that they've been reported to have are bad. They haven't even really, they've tried denying them a little bit, but nobody's believing it. And why should they? Konami has done nothing to engage the gaming community. They've done everything they can to abandon it. They've done everything they can to make every boneheaded decision they can make because they're not interested in the gaming community. They want to make pachinko machines. I say let them make pachinko machines, but then sell off your IPs. Give them to people who care, or at least license them. Metal Gear Survive is going to be a bad game in my mind before it even comes out, and I know that's going to piss some people off, and I'm sorry. But I can't tell you that I think it's going to be I'm going to hold out reservations for it when I know in my heart that even if it's a great game, it's still going to be a bad game. It could play perfectly well, but it's still going to be a bad game. It could have a great story, but it's still going to be a bad game because it's tainted. By putting Metal Gear on it, they have ruined this game before it even comes out for me. And to be honest, from what I've saw of the trailer, nothing got me excited about it to begin with. And I'm not saying you're a terrible person if you want to support this, if you want to buy the game, if you want to talk about this game. You're not. But I just hope you have a shred of iota. You have an iota or a shred of decency enough to say Konami, like to hold Konami responsible. Because if we don't, nobody will, because we are who they get their money from. That and pachinko machines. Whoever, and I doubt old biddy grandmas in Japan are too worried about the ethical rights of workers working at Konami. Because they got pachinko to play. But that's it for that. Oh, I have a viewer. 2 viewers. My gosh, what is going on? What? What is this? 2 viewers. All right, well, I guess I'll open it up to 1 viewer. 1 person left. They're just like, they noticed me? Oh, no, I'm out of here. But no, open up Q&A. Coming up to the end of the show. You guys can watch the rest on VOD, but this is kind of your corner now. You guys can drop in your questions. You can also tweet at me at unsexiestcomedy or at Knotty Gamers. Either or, I'll be picking them up here. And yeah, go ahead and ask. I just finished ranting about how I felt about Metal Gear Survive in that news, which is not good. Good for me. I got that off my chest. That's been corrosing through my veins all day today. So that's been something. But yeah, got a viewer. Go ahead and tweet at me what your questions or put them in the Q&A section of the YouTube here. Just let me know. What do you think? Oh, gosh. Sorry, I look up on Twitter, and the moment I come up on Twitter, I see something from my buddy Sean. And he says, when you buy 50 loot boxes and still don't get the Tracer skin. I'm tweeting at Blizzard, for the love of God, let me buy it. Yeah, see, we talked about this at the top of the show. We talked about it, and we said, not good. Not good. This is a problem with their economy that they created now. Just Sean probably has 3,000 gold coins that he can't use to spend it on the one Tracer skin that he wants. Yeah. Oh, actually, I should probably talk about one more thing. Titanfall. Holy crap. Titanfall 2 is coming out. I'm pumped for it. I played Titanfall 1. I loved it. I stopped playing it right when they were starting to put out like the new content for it. And I was like, oh, I'll get back to that though. But I never did. They're bringing it to PS4 this time. So, you know, everybody out there, squad up. Let's do this. Anybody out there who is listening to this or watching this, the one person who is, if you have a code for Titanfall 2, let me know. Hit me up with a DM me. Slide into my DMs. Slide into my DMs. Let me know. NA code, North America code, by the way. So to our Eastern European listeners, if you had a code, I really appreciate it. But, you know, use it for yourself. Glad someone is watching. If it's just John, my brother-in-law John, if it's just John watching, or he might have been the one person who like hopped in and was just like, oh, I'm out. But if it's you, John, thank you so much for being the one person that's watching. Please tweet at me to let me know that you're the one person that's watching. Glad someone is watching. Me too. John, me too. But yeah, that's it pretty much for the show. No Q&A. I'm not going to prolong this any longer than we have to. It'd be kind of terrible, especially for the audio listeners. I would be more inclined to stay on longer, but let's face some facts here. I'm not doing anything too interesting. Talked about the news. Titanfall 2 looks awesome. Enough said. They have a cool story mode I'm pretty excited for. Really excited to play multiplayer on it, though. Pilot versus Pilot, hate that. Want to play me some Titan versus Titan. That's where it's good. That's where the goodies are at. Big fan of Titanfall. So I count. You do count as a viewer. You do. Yes, you do count as a viewer, John. Anybody who's not listening or who's not watching, which is just anybody who's not John Gardner, my brother-in-law. John is, of course, the game master for the Star Wars thing that I do. Started last week. I told you guys we might be streaming it. We didn't stream it last week. There's still been talks about streaming it. We'll see what happens this week. But as far as I know, as soon as I know anything, I'll let you guys know. Yeah, that'll come out. And if it does come out on the streams, on any of the archive streams, I'll put that out in the podcast realm of all you listeners. I know you guys are just like, we listen to your podcast, and some of you listen to Alistair Manor. And Alistair Manor is already fulfilling that goodie for you. But if you love Star Wars, hey, Star Wars is out there for you too. If not, other people do too. I don't follow my brother-in-law on Twitter. I should probably fix that. Following. You're welcome, John. I love you, brother. In the meantime, I love all of you guys out there. You guys, of course, you don't keep the lights turned on. Luckily, though, I take care of that myself. But you do something greater than that, which is you motivate us, Chandler and I both, to pursue this, to dream big about this, to keep going as much as possible with this. Chandler couldn't be here tonight because he had some family stuff pop in, but I know he's out there thinking, really wish Cameron and I would go to our Olive Garden after this, but I'm not there, so we can't go to Olive Garden afterwards. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I wish Chandler was here, because if afterwards we could have gone to Olive Garden, gotten Olive Garden. Not going to happen now. I'm going to go to some fast food place and just binge eat my weight and ice cream and milkshakes and Frosties and fries and just cry myself to sleep on my gigantic bed and pillow, because I must be, because I'm so fat. But I'm not that fat. But I will probably just grab some food. Chandler, that one's for you. For all you audio listeners out there, sorry about that. I'm kind of just rambling on at this point because, I see that one viewer and I think to myself, I shouldn't end this. They're watching, but it's my brother-in-law and he should know better. I'll see you on Saturday, John. Moving on, though, to the end of the show, thank you guys so much for listening to the Knotty Gamers Podcast, episode 25.5, the solo cast. Next week, of course, we'll be going back to normal with both of us here. In the meantime, though, you guys are awesome. Oh, I do need to mention one last thing. We will not be doing an Alistair Manor this week. Too many people are just not going to be able to make it, so we're taking a night off, which is good because I think that we got to a point where we had a really good kind of end game for right now. We'll be picking up next week and starting on just where to go from there. For anybody who hasn't listened to it, you can go to our soundcloud.com/knottygamers. We got all the episodes there as well as all the episodes of the Knotty Gamers podcast. But for anybody who doesn't know, Alistair Manor, of course, is a cast of players who play high schoolers who go to this private school. It's cool stuff happens. And by cool stuff, I mean awful things happen to them. And I, myself and you, get to enjoy it as they try to overcome what's happening to them. It's kind of a little bit of a slice of life meets the worst possible things that can happen to you when your entire school population is possessed. If you want more details, you can always listen to Alistair Manor podcast. But until then, I've been your host, Cameron Abbott, the unsexiest comedian that you know, and the man whose face was built for radio. Thank you guys for tuning in, and as always, stay complicated out there. For anybody who doesn't know, I just finished recording the audio podcast for, why am I saying, John, I recorded the audio podcast. I'm ending the live air podcast, and just want to echo those sentiments. You guys are amazing. Love you. To everybody who's watching now, which is that one person, my brother-in-law, John. Love you, brother. And the one other person who stopped in for a hot second, I think you're cool too. If you watch this later video on demand, if you stopped in, you're like, oh man, it sounds like he's really winding down. I want to come back and watch it later. Know that you were missed. In the meanwhile, thank you guys so much for watching, And as always, stay complicated out there.